Here's what I think. Strickland is going to get in his head, force him to go crazy early on. His plan is to defend, get him tired, and then start to turn on.
The training room was a literal war zone. Arman Tsarukyan stood back as Khamzat Chimaev pushed past human limits, a sight that would terrify the entire middleweight division. The Boars isn't just back, he's evolved into something much more dangerous. Everyone thought they knew his ceiling, but the reality behind closed doors tells a much more violent story. The mask is officially off, and what's underneath is a relentless machine preparing to dismantle Sean Strickland. The footage leaked, and the consensus is clear. Nobody is safe when this version of Khamzat is unleashed.
Arman, I gotta ask you this. The thoughts on Khamzat Chimaev here again for his second camp. You were so part of the first camp, him going to get the title against DDP. Now he's doing the second one here at Jackson and Santo. You guys have had amazing relationship. We see all these videos of you guys training at Santo Performance Studio, training at Coach Cal's, on the bikes. Talk to me about training with him. I know he's bigger than you. I know he brings in a lot of different guys, but the energy, the training, the sparring, what's it like?
I mean, Khamzat, he's a hard worker, and so now he's a UFC champion, and it's good when you have like this sparring partner, friend, and who can show you and tell you something, and like we share like our experience and grow and
While everyone focuses on the wrestling, Khamzat's striking has been a point of massive debate among the experts. Bo Nickel and his team are leaning towards Strickland because of his awkward, evasive style. Sean stands tall, uses a Philly shell variation, and leans away from power shots. If Khamzat can't secure the early takedown, he's forced into a kickboxing match with a man who spars 25 minutes every single day. This is where the training with Arman becomes crucial, as they've been sharpening the technical aspects of the stand-up.
Strickland, Duplessis wants a rematch. Chimaev's going to leave the division. He's going up to 205 pounds. Like, it's just been really hard to get any level of clarity. So now Chimaev is back to training. Khalil Roundtree goes out and trains with him. And it was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredibly difficult-looking push-yourself videos that were coming out. And a lot of the rumors were true about Chimaev's size. You could tell he was a big guy. I don't know that I would dispute the rumor, but it is still a rumor that he wanted to go up to 205 pounds. And not go up to 205 pounds because of Pierre or to become champ, because he didn't want to go back to 85. Like, he looked big and he looked good. So now you got Strickland, who's been given the opportunity.
The clash is being billed as chaos meeting order in the middle of the cage. Khamzat brings a whirlwind of aggression and raw power, while Strickland brings a rhythmic, steady pressure. It's a battle of temperaments. Arman Tsarukyan notes that Khamzat's work ethic is what bridges the gap between his talent and his results. He's not just relying on his natural gifts anymore. This camp has been about refinement and learning to share knowledge, making Khamzat a more cerebral assassin than the one we saw in his previous wars.
The first time you go with this guy, you think he's a wrestler. When you don't know anything about him, and you haven't met yet, and you just feel him, at the end of the workout, you think he's a wrestler. Trick has talked about how hard he was to take down, talked about he's even harder to keep there. And it's a very interesting concept. I mean, Drickus went as far as to say that he thinks that Sean's got a very good chance in the fight, and he said in a stand-up realm that Sean is much better than Chimaev. Now, I would challenge Strickland on that, but I would challenge him very respectfully, like as the former champion who's been in the ring the better part of 75 minutes with these guys. He has the right to his opinion, but it did surprise me. Like, what do you mean meaning Strickland? What do you mean he's meaningfully better in the striking than Chimaev? Where did you test?
The physical transformation of Chimaev is the main talk of the town among insiders. Fighters who have seen him recently describe a man who looks significantly heavier than the middleweight limit. Chael Sonnen highlighted that Chimaev might have wanted to move to light heavyweight not just for the challenge, but because his body is naturally evolving into that frame. Facing a massive Khamzat who still moves like a welterweight is a terrifying prospect for Sean. If that size translates to more crushing top pressure, the fight might be over early.
I know Imamov and Khamzat kind of don't want to fight each other. I'm not really excited for that fight. Not a lot of people are, but the Strickland fight, I believe I faced Strickland. In the striking, he definitely beats Khamzat for sure. Khamzat, a problem to deal with when he has you on your back. We've seen that many times. With Strickland, what he does brilliantly, I took Strickland down, I think 7 times. The way he gets up to hold him down is incredibly hard. At Extreme Couture, where they train, they specialize in that cage wrestling, getting back to his feet. And Strickland's a lot stronger than people might think. I think he has a very good chance in that fight.
Eric Nixick isn't intimidated by the highlight reels or the social media hype. He believes Sean's awkwardness is his greatest weapon against an aggressive grappler. By forcing Khamzat to constantly reset his wrestling transitions, they plan to drag him into a long, strategic battle. Nixick knows it won't be easy, but he sees small openings that can be exploited over 25 minutes. This isn't about matching Khamzat's power, it's about outlasting his intensity and waiting for the moment his shoulders get heavy and his breathing gets shallow.
Strickland or Chimaev? Oh yeah, Strickland is fighting. That fight doesn't really make sense, does it?
Nah, not really.
Because it's just a grappler versus a...
Grappler versus striker. Yeah. Strickland's gonna get taken down and beat up.
It's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad. Khamzat's gonna beat him up pretty good.
Oh my god, you don't like Khamzat?
Nah, I mean, we were supposed to fight at one point, and
Damn,
he was
you're
at
supposed to fight
170.
everyone, bro.
Yeah. You know, when I was in my prime, you know, a couple years ago, he was at 170, so they were trying to set us up to fight, but it just never materialized.
Arman Tsarukyan points out that Khamzat's experience is his secret weapon. People forget how many elite rounds he has under his belt in the gym. By training with someone like Arman, who has elite wrestling of his own, Khamzat is being forced to work for every single inch. This isn't a camp where he's bullying local amateurs to look good. He's being tested by the best in the world every day, ensuring that when he steps into the cage with Sean, nothing the former champion does will come as a surprise to him or his coaching staff.
Has Sean Strickland ever fought a really, really strong wrestler?
I looked through his resume and he has not.
Not really fought a strong wrestler, but he's known for having really good grappling, really good takedown defense. But there's just different fucking levels of grappling, and Khamzat is at the highest level. Like him and Islam are the two. They're just so dominant in that aspect. Sean Strickland has great cardio. He's gonna show up ready to go. The question is, can Khamzat keep the pace of? He kept the pace against DDP, but he was able to take him down early and literally hold him down the whole time. That is fatiguing. He was able to do that. But what's more fatiguing is taking someone down, they get up. Taking someone down, they get up. You took him off 3-4 times in a round. That's gonna start to wear on Khamzat if Sean can get up. And that's going to be the question mark there. I feel like Khamzat's going to be able to get a hold of him. He's going to be able to take him.
The true unknown factor is how Khamzat reacts to someone who talks back in the middle of a war. Sean Strickland is notorious for chirping during the fight, trying to goad his opponents into a brawl. Aljamain Sterling thinks this could be the deciding factor. If Khamzat loses his cool and starts hunting the knockout to prove a point, he plays right into Sean's hands. But if he stays disciplined, as Arman suggests he has been in camp, he becomes an unstoppable force that can dictate exactly where and how the violence happens. Bo Nickel highlighted Sean's defensive wrestling as one of the most underrated skills in the division today. While Khamzat is a world-class grappler, Sean has never really been held down or controlled for long periods. He has a get-up-at-all-cost mentality that frustrates even the most elite wrestlers. If Khamzat burns his legs out trying to secure a dominant position only for Sean to wall walk back up, the momentum of the entire fight shifts instantly. It's a high-risk strategy that requires perfect timing and insane durability. The intensity of the training sessions with Arman has been described as a pressure cooker by those in the gym. They are pushing each other to new heights, sharing secrets that usually stay behind closed doors. This chemistry between the two top-tier fighters is creating a version of Khamzat that is more technical and less reliant on pure explosion. This shift in mindset could be the nightmare the rest of the division has been fearing. A Khamzat who can wrestle for 5 rounds without fading is a championship-level problem for anyone. Dricus du Plessis mentioned that Sean is a lot stronger than people think. He's not just a point fighter, he has a gritty, grinding strength that wears on you over time. DDP thinks Sean has a very good chance because of his ability to endure punishment and keep moving forward. In the striking department, Dricus is firm. Sean beats Khamzat for sure. He's seen how Sean manages distance and uses his jab to disrupt the rhythm of power punchers, and he expects the same thing to happen to the Boers if he can't get the takedown. Sean O'Malley makes a clear distinction between wrestling and scrambling in his analysis. Khamzat is a master of the initial shot and the heavy top control, but Sean is a master of the scramble. The energy drain from constant movement is what O'Malley is watching. If the fight becomes a series of frantic scrambles instead of a one-sided grappling clinic, the advantage swings heavily toward the man with the better cardio. Strickland has proven he can go 5 hard rounds, but Khamzat's gas tank is still a major question mark for many. Arman Tsarukyan is no stranger to elite rooms, but training with Khamzat is a different beast entirely. He describes a man possessed, someone who shares knowledge as fast as he throws leather. We've seen them pushing through grueling sessions at Coach Cowell's, on the bikes, and at the Performance Institute, matching each other's intensity. This isn't just a sparring partnership, it's a collision of the two most dangerous minds in the sport today. Even though Chimaev is significantly larger, the energy is matched beat for beat, creating a synergy that is a literal nightmare for anyone standing in their path. The fact that Sean and Khamzat have shared the same mat before adds a layer of intrigue that few fights possess. Most fighters go in blind, but these two have felt each other's grip and power. Eric Nixick knows that Khamzat is incredibly hard to control, but he also knows how he reacts to certain pressures. This inside knowledge is being baked into every drill Sean does. They aren't just training for a wrestler, they are training for the specific tendencies of Khamzat Chimaev, the man they once welcomed into their own training facility. Khamzat's work ethic has never been in question, but his ability to learn has been. Working with Arman Tsarukyan shows a new level of maturity in his approach. He's listening, adjusting, and evolving. This isn't just about the Strickland fight, it's about a run for the title. Arman's influence on the camp cannot be overstated. By having a sparring partner who can actually challenge his wrestling, Khamzat is forced to develop a plan B and a plan C, making him a far more dangerous puzzle for anyone in the UFC to solve. Chael Sonnen points out that the middleweight division is in complete chaos right now. With title rematches being discussed and fighters moving weight classes, nothing is certain. But amid all that noise, Khamzat is quietly preparing in a way we haven't seen before. He's locked in, looking stronger than ever and ignoring the drama. When a fighter of his caliber stops talking and starts working this hard, it usually means a storm is coming that will reshape the entire landscape of the sport and the rankings. This showdown is more than just a fight, it's a collision of two completely different philosophies of violence. On one side, you have the relentless, suffocating pressure of a transformed Khamzat Chimaev, sharpened by the elite skills of Arman Tsarukyan. On the other, you have the unbreakable spirit and awkward brilliance of Sean Strickland. One thing is certain, when these two forces finally meet, the middleweight division will never be the same. The only question left is who will be the one left standing when the dust finally settles. Chael Sonnen explains that there's always an aura around a fighter like Chimaev until you actually sweat with him in the trenches. Once you're dragging yourself through a workout and watching him grind like everyone else, the mystery vanishes and the raw reality sets in. Chimaev doesn't just show up, he drags everyone into deep water. He's one of those guys who wears a mask of invincibility for the cameras, but in the practice room, that mask is ripped away to reveal a level of dedication that most fighters simply cannot comprehend. Rumors have been swirling about Khamzat's massive size increase, with some suggesting he was headed for the 205-pound division. The footage from his camp with Arman confirms the physical transformation. He looks like a legitimate powerhouse operating in the middleweight division. This isn't just about weight, it's about the raw strength he brings to every exchange. Chael notes that Khamzat didn't want to go back to 185 because he's grown so much, yet here he is, ready to impose that massive frame on Sean Strickland. Dricus du Plessis has felt the power of both men, and he isn't convinced this is going to be a blowout for the Boers. DDP points out that while Khamzat is a nightmare on your back, Sean Strickland is deceptively strong and incredibly difficult to keep down. He's seen Sean's ability to get back to his feet firsthand, having taken him down 7 times only for Sean to pop right back up. That kind of resilience can break a wrestler's spirit, and DDP believes Sean's striking is leagues ahead of anything Khamzat has ever faced in the octagon. The psychological warfare has already begun in the lead up to this massive clash. Aljamain Sterling believes Strickland's entire plan revolves around getting inside Khamzat's head. Sean wants to force him to go crazy early, to burn through his gas tank in a fit of rage. It's a game of high-stakes chicken. If Khamzat can't find the finish in the first 10 minutes, he'll be facing a cardio machine who only gets faster as the fight goes on. The question is whether Khamzat's new training regime with Arman has prepared him for that level of frustration. Colby Covington, never one to mince words, thinks the entire debate is a complete joke. He claims Khamzat is going to run through Strickland like a hot knife through butter. To Colby, this is a classic grappling versus striker mismatch where the striker ends up flat on his back within seconds. He predicts a brutal showcase of power where Sean gets taken down and beat up until he finally breaks. Colby has seen the wrestling pedigree up close, and he doesn't think Sean has the tools to stop the initial landslide that Khamzat brings to the cage. There's a hidden layer to this fight that many fans are overlooking right now. Sean Strickland actually spent time training with Khamzat in the past. His coach Eric Nixick views that time as a vital scouting mission for their team. They didn't just spar, they studied Khamzat's transitions and ground control techniques up close. Having the monster in your own gym allowed them to demystify the legend. They saw the openings and felt the pressure, and now they're using that insider data to build a blueprint specifically designed to dismantle him. Sean O'Malley raises the most critical point of the entire matchup, the physical cost of a takedown. It's one thing to put a man on the mat, but it's another thing entirely to keep him there. If Khamzat has to take Sean down 4 or 5 times in a single round, his muscles will fill with lactic acid. That kind of explosive exertion is what kills gas tanks for heavy wrestlers. O'Malley wonders if Khamzat can sustain that relentless pace against a guy who refuses to accept the bottom position and keeps coming forward no matter what.